So let's make a start, and first of all we're going to have a look at the cherries. Now in your kit you will get the really fine nylon beading thread. Now this is really useful for beading. It's really strong, it's really thin and quite invisible when you actually come to put things together, but quite invisible is not much good when I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. So I'm actually going to use just plain cotton for this. I wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely use the stronger nylon thread that comes within your kit, but just in the interest of you being able to see what I'm doing, I have switched to a red cotton so you can see exactly what's going on. So we're going to start with one of our wooden beads. That's going to be the center of our cherry, and that's what we're going to use to create the shape. So we're going to put our needle through there, and I'm going to leave a nice long tail. I'm not going to tie it off. You're going to need about 80 centimeters to a meter of thread to do this, and then we are going to add to it 7 of our red beads. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. I'm going to take those all the way down. Now nothing's tied off at this point here, everything is just loose, so be a little bit careful. There's 2 things you want to make sure. One is that your beads don't get stuck in that central hole there of your wooden bead, and you just want to make sure that kind of everything doesn't wobble about too much. So we're going to go back through the wooden bead. So we've created, if I just move this around, you'll see we've kind of created a loop there, and if I pull that through a bit more, you'll be able to see it a bit more clearly there. So we've created a loop. So we've come through the bead the first time, round and added those on, and then through the bead a second time, and now we're going to go back through all of these beads here. So I'm going to take the needle back through all of these. This time it's a little bit easier because they all kind of already want to be in the same alignment, so it's much easier. Now if I just pop my finger on there for a second and pull that through, oops, and this is why the beading thread is so good, because it tends to hold its shape a little bit more than just a normal cotton. So let me take the excess out of this so you can see that taking shape and just forming its way around the bead. So I'm going to pull this tight first off, and then once I've pulled it tight, you can see it kind of starts working its way around the shape of the edge of the bead there, and then I'm just going to add a double knot into the top of it. But before I do, can you see this one just starting to sneak in and block that hole? I'm just going to push that out the way, and then a double knot at the top there just to secure that first run round. Now I would say for your first 4 runs at least, you are going to want to tie off at the top of every single one of these just to secure them and make sure that they don't go kind of wandering off by themselves. So there is your first 7. You're going to repeat that process several more times, and I've got one here with a few more on, and you are going to need 6 runs of the 7 beads, and what you'll find is you should end up with a spacing something like that. What you're then going to do is, once you've got 6 of those on, you're going to start filling in those gaps. So it leaves you with almost like segments on an orange. It leaves you with kind of gaps in between, and that's because the 7 beads are so long that it kind of can't squidge up anymore to fill those gaps. So then we're going to go around a second time, and instead of using 7 beads, this time we're going to use 6 beads, so 1 less, and start filling in those gaps. So your first 6 times round, you will want 7, and then after that you're going to need 6. So I'm going to just grab 6 beads quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to add those on. So obviously if you are doing this in the palm of your hand like that, just do it gently, make sure you don't stab yourself with your needle. 4, 5 and 6. Get those all onto there, and then take out that excess thread first of all. Move that tail out the way, and now this one will lay nice and neatly in those gaps. Now you may have to move the odd bead just to get it so it'll fit nicely in that gap, Once you've got it sitting nicely in the gap, it's exactly the same process. I'm going to go back through the center hole of the bead and then back through all of those again. And what you will eventually end up with is you'll end up with one that's like this, that's got all of those beads all the way around. Now you've got coordinating red beads, as you can see on this one and here, just so you can see kind of what you may see underneath if you haven't got coloured beads, is you can sometimes spot a little bit of the underneath colour. But that's what you'll end up with once you've got 6 rows of 7 and 6 rows of 6 beads on. Once you've done all of that and you've still got a thread coming out of the top, stop at that point, and then I'll take you to another video where I'll show you how to put on the stalks. And just a quick preview of that is you want your stalks to be up at the top, because if you leave them up at the top, you end up with cherries. If you add your leaf at the bottom, you can create an apple. So it's entirely up to you which way around you want to do it, but we've designed cherries, so we shall make cherries. So I will see you in the next video when we are going to put these stalks on and start adding the leaves.